Hey there, YouTube. Happy Wednesday. I've got a small little review today. Not necessarily much of a review, as more so trying to get it out there and get people to know that this release is out there and to check it out because I think it's worthy of your ears, especially if you're a blackened death metal fan in the vein of Archgoat or Beherit or even Blasphemy, or if you even like a little bit of war metal from time to time, like Revenge or Antichrist Siege Machine. There's a lot of that going on here that I think you'll enjoy. And what I'm talking about is the new Altar of Gore album, Litanies of Unceasing Agonies, that just came out May 17th on Nameless Graves Records. I cannot for the life of me remember who is going to press the vinyl. It could also be Nameless Graves. I think it is Nameless Graves. But I went for the CD, as everybody knows. I got it about little 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago. So a little over a week ago. So I've been listening to it, absorbing it, and man, I am a huge fan of this album and a huge fan of this band as a whole. Well, it's pretty much a band now, but let's back up a minute. So U.S. death metal was originally a one-man death metal project or band, whatever you want to call it, but now it looks like he has recruited a lead guitarist on this album, so it's two members. But previously, on the last album that came out in 2020, Obscure and Obscene Gods, I showed that off on here. It was a vinyl pressing that Sentient Rune Laboratories pressed. I was a huge fan of that album, and this is what put me onto the band. It was just one man. In his name, he goes by Acolyte of the Foul Ones, but I'm pretty sure his name is just Tom. So Tom originally did all of the instruments and all of that stuff on the first full length, but now on the second full length, it looks like he has recruited a guitarist, so it is a two-man death metal band. There's a couple of demos out and compilations that have mixed those demos and some split songs that are also very good. Definitely check those out. A little bit more raw sounding, a little bit definitely way more raw underground death metal sounding, but you should definitely check those out. They are worthy of your ears. Some of the best stuff that has just been put out in recent years in regards of the underground death metal, blackened death metal scene. So here's the CD. I'll show you off what's inside, the contents, as always. The artist of the album cover goes by, it's Taylor Smith or Covenzine. I'll put the art, if I can find his social media or whatever, I'll put it in the description. But definitely that cover style a little bit reminds me of the Chris Moyen artwork that's often on the Archgoat albums, just a tiny bit with the black and white motif or whatever, and then obviously the blood is in here, but it does remind me a little bit of the Chris Moyen stuff, and then the red logo is similar in that regard as well. For the most part, the booklet is just the lyrics, and then on the back is, there you go, the credits and the picture of the band. And then they went with the old school CD route, which I like this, clean looking, nothing crazy. And then here is the back. That is Tom right there. So again, they came out with a full-length album back in 2020. I was a huge fan of that. I don't, unfortunately, have the record anymore because, as you guys know, I sold it, but I will look to try and get that back, at least in CD form, because it's simply phenomenal. This album is 7 tracks, 37 minutes long, which is a pretty good album length. I don't think that it's too long. I don't think it's too short. I think it's really just hits the sweet spot right there. The longest track on here is the final track, Litanies of Unceasing Agonies, or the title track. 7 minutes long, phenomenal song, ends the album perfectly. These are the longer style of songs on here. I think the shortest song on here is 1 minute and 47 seconds long. It's just the introduction, so it doesn't even count. So, technically, in terms of song, the shortest song in here is 5 minutes and 15 seconds, which is the second song. The third song on here, Infinite Visions of Violence, is definitely one of my favorite tracks on the album. It's got this pick scrape to it that often reminds me a little bit of Revenge and Antichrist Siege Machine, just from that war metal style, along with the really fast tempo drumming, and then just the marching drums of drumming that they do. That's where I kind of hear the war metal sound on here, but for the most part, this is a very heavily a blackened death metal album, and it sounds fairly similar to Archgoat, and definitely those earlier style of Profanatica albums, even the newer style. There's, in terms of that black metalness to it, but definitely Archgoat and even Beherit from time to time I hear on here. It's that style of blackened death metal, which is my favorite. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of Beharit. We'll talk about that someday. I like some stuff, and other stuff just didn't really click with me. Maybe we'll do a whole video on that. But Archgoat, as everybody knows, is like one of my favorite bands. So that's what really drew me to this band. But this one, in terms of production, definitely has a better production than the last release. And when I say better, I don't mean like super overproduced, super clean, crisp sounding. Not at all. It's still very dirty sounding. It's still very underground sounding. And that's what I really, really like. That is, and eventually, like, that is just what the appeal of this band is for me. So it is a very good album. I think it's going to be fairly underrated, not on a lot of people's radars. It's a little bit more, probably obscure, but from the scene, like the little like friendship scene that I'm in regards to death metal, people are raving about it. They're talking about it, which makes me happy because it's definitely worth the praise. So phenomenal stuff. I am going to put a little small snippet at the end of this video because I think I'll be okay with the copyright, just to give you a little bit of a taste of what this is. But definitely go check this out, especially if you're into that style of blackened death metal music. I'll link the Bandcamp and where you can purchase this from. Nameless Graves is an awesome label, another underrated label and underground label that you should check out. They put out some fantastic releases, so good stuff. So that's pretty much all I had today. Just a small little review. Wanted to get this on everybody's radar. Been listening to this a lot. Definitely going to be one of my favorite releases to come out this year. And in terms of the underground death metal that I like to listen to, and I tend to gravitate more towards, and then I neglect most of my collection. That's what's been happening with this album. So good stuff. That's all I have today. I hope you guys are enjoying your Wednesday, and I will see you in the next one.